Hey folks, welcome back. This is Joel, and in this video, we'll continue with our discussion on SD-WAN. Uh, just to summarize what we have done till now, we have set up the controllers. We have also set up the edges, right? So in the previous video, I actually set up one edge, which is BR2. But when I later went back and I kind of set few more, set up the rest of the edges, which is basically R1, R2, um, BR1. BR1 was already set up before. So all the ones which are turned on right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So all the five edges are up and they have been set up, and they are able to reach. So we can also check that up here. So there are five edges now. When you click on this, you basically get the information about the edges. So that's good. Yeah, so you can see here R1, R2, and BR1. On the branch one, we have just turned on one of the edge. You have BR2 and BR3, right? Something interesting to note here is I was experimenting something really cool. So you can see here R2. The R2 is actually a very interesting device. If you look at it, let's look at the topology again. Yeah, if you look at R2 here, you see something very specific, right? You don't see any connection to the transport direct connection, right? You don't have a internet or either an MPLS. I mean, we're not even looking at MPLS right now, but you see this R2, it doesn't have any kind of direct connection, right? And how in that case is it able to talk to all these controllers? So uh, so that's something interesting, right? So what I've done, what I've set up here is that I have set up an internal routing protocol. I think it's OSPF. So I've set up a OSPF routing protocol between my ASA, my switch 2, and my MPLS router here. So my R2 basically goes, in this particular fashion. It goes to MPLS router, goes to switch 2, goes to ASA. And on the ASA, I've set up NAT, right? So if I anytime go on my ASA, you can see my you can see the NAT happening. Let me show you that. Show exclate, and let me include the IP address, which is I believe it's let me just quickly check that. One sec. So it's basically 10.0.1.2, right? You can see here, the NAT going through. The internal or the private IP address is getting NATed to 1.1.3 on the outside, right? And especially, I think this is the connection which is going to the VBond, because if you see the port number over here, right? You can also see that over here on the VBond. If you see the show control connections, let me run this again, or show orchestrated connections, basically, you will see something very specific. You will see this is the R2, right, edge. You see the system IP is over here. You can see the private IP is visible here, 10.0.1.2, right? Whereas in all the other cases, you have the private IP is also the public IP, right? Because all the rest of the edges, they have direct connectivity to transport, whereas this particular guy doesn't have it. Now, this is where the NAT functionality of the VBond comes into play, right? So the VBond is able to figure out that this particular VH is actually behind a NAT device, right? And it is able to capture the private IP address of that particular appliance, or in this case, it is able to figure out the private IP address of the VH, and it is able to track that, and it is able to map that to this particular public IP which is coming out from the ASA, right? So that's something very interesting capability, or something very interesting feature of VBond. And that is the reason I have been reiterating that your you just need your VBond to have a public IP address, whereas the rest of all the devices can have private IP address, right? And it will still work. The whole solution works. You just need your VBond to have a public IP. Great. So now that we have talked about that, so what I show you right now is that we have set up all the five edges, and all the five edges are visible here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. What we will go about doing now in this video is we'll talk about templates. Right. So we'll talk about templates. What are templates basically? So when you're configuring, or the great advantage of SD-WAN is that uh, I mean, it has a major component of SDN, right? and we have not seen much of that yet in our demos or in the labs. One of the important piece of SDN is having a centralized way to configure everything, right? And that's where our templates comes into picture. Obviously, we can configure our devices, each of these devices, via the CLI, and that's what we have been doing till now, right? This is literally the CLI connections to all these devices, right? But we can also, and there is obviously another way to do it via the API, right? REST APIs, which is again probably something which we can explore later. But another very important piece which we can, or very important way of configuring these devices is through templates, right? And that's something which we are going to explore now. So let's not do the templates part. We basically have to go down to uh, I believe it's configuration and templates, right? So go down here. I haven't played much with this feature, so bear with me. We might make mistakes along the way, but that's okay. So let's go down to features, right? So my intention is basically to start with, or basically to configure, say one of the device, let's say BR2, right? Let's configure a bunch of features on BR2 using the template. I mean, I know we have already set up the BR2, but there is no harm in configuring again, right? Just because we are anyway playing around with the feature, right? So let's do that. So we are basically going here. So you see there are two things here. You see a device template and you see a feature template. So how this works is you basically configure a bunch of feature templates and you club it together into one device template, right? And once you create a device template, you can attach a device and you can push the configs, via the template, right? So let's try this out. So in order to start with this, so let's start with, so I want to do basically 3 templates. Let's start with a system template, right? So we click on add template. You got to select the devices which you want to create this template on. Like for example, in our case, we have the Edge cloud devices, right? And these are all the templates supported. Now the power of templates comes in when you can club 2 or 3 various different products and you can create a common template for it, right? For example, if I can select VH cloud with something like a VH 100, right? So you see there are still a lot of common templates, but as and when you go on adding more and more devices, here the number of templates goes on, or the number of common templates goes on reducing. See, I added this and you see some templates vanished off, right? In our case, we just have the VH cloud, so we can leverage all of this. And to start with, like I said, these are all the features which you can configure using the template. Almost everything you can configure using the template, right? So like I said, I basically want to set up my system. I mean, I've already set it up. I just want to show it to you guys. So I'll set it up again. Yeah. So okay, that's my dog. Bear with me. All right. So let's click on system, right? So we are gonna set the system template, right? For the system, let's start with some basic stuff. So we gotta name the template, right? Let's name it as, I don't know. It's good to name, probably put in the platform, just so that you know that this is mainly for the VH cloud, right? VH cloud, and what are we doing? System. So let's say VH system template. Description also, I mean, I'm gonna put in the same thing. Very lazy at this. So let's go down. So now you can see these are all the various pieces which you can fill in here, right? So what are we going to do? So site ID, right? So site ID. So what are we? So if you see site ID, and if you see here at the if you put a drop down here, you can either make this particular parameter a global parameter or a device specific parameter, right? Site ID is something which is specific to a device. We're going to retain it as is. System IP is also specific. Going to retain it. Not going to touch that. What else? Host name. You have host name here, so you're going to retain that as well. Choose baud rate, right? We could probably put in the maximum for now, right? So that's good. What else? Let's scroll down, and something which I want to do is the latitude longitude, right? So what I want to do is probably put in this particular branch in one of the cities in my country, which is say let's say I want to do this. Let me just try to figure out the latitude, longitude. Okay, so let's say I want to put this in my country, which is India, and I'm going to put this device in New Delhi, right? So let's figure out what is the latitude and longitude of New Delhi. Okay, my internet is a bit slow. Bear with me. I have to pause this 1 sec. All right, I'm back. So yeah, what were we doing? We were figuring out the latitude, longitude. So I think I have it here. Let's just put it. So this is going to be device specific again. Let's change this. And this is going to be device specific as well. So here you don't put the values. You just select what part of the template is basically going to be global, or what part of the template is going to be device specific, right? So I think that is it. I mean, I don't want to put anything in the system other than that. We have put in the host name, we have put in the site ID and all of that. So we're going to retain rest of this as is, right? So we have something called advanced stuff here. Uh, I don't intend to change any of this. So I think that's good. Let's move on. I mean, you have possibility or flexibility to change all of these, but for now, I think we are good, right? So yep, just looking for the next button here. This is the GPS part, this is the tracker, and this is the advanced. Okay. Give me a second. All right, so I was trying to adjust the aspect ratio of this. So this looks good. So we have selected all the fields which we want for this template. What we're going to do is we're going to save this. So there you go. We have one template created. Let's go ahead and create another template. We normally configure the system, and then we go and configure the VPN, right? So there are some VPN 0 configuration which has to be done. So that's what we are basically going to do now. So let's again go and select the VH Cloud. Let's select VPN, right, because that's what we want to do. I'm going to explicitly name this template as VPN 0 for VH Cloud. I'll have to scroll this a bit top. Bear with me, it's a bit slow today. Yep, so VPN 0, right? Let me call it as VH underscore VPN 0, right? So that's good. That's pretty much easy to understand. What do we do under VPN 0? So here I'm going to keep this global, and the value is obviously going to be 0, right? Um, so if there is a global value and you think the global values can be filled here, right? If it's a device specific, you're going to fill it later. I'll show you where. The name, we can still keep it global, right? We can call this as the VPN for overlay, right? Or let's say just VPN overlay, because VPN 0 is used only for that, right? Nothing else. ECMP keyring. So this is something which we can turn on, because this is going to be used for some kind of a load balancing later, right? So we can make this global and we can turn this on. What else would we need? Let's scroll down. Remember, whenever the DNS, I'm going to skip DNS, probably not going to use it anyway. Remember, when we configure the VPN, we also configure the default route. So we're going to put in the default route here under IPv4. So you see you have IPv4 here, and there should be a IP. Okay, so that's not yet. So, oh yeah. Okay, so you have the IPv4 route here, and we'll say new IPv4 route, right? So default route, you always call it as 0.0.0. Another 0/0, right? The next stop, we have to add a next stop. right? So we're gonna add a next stop. So when we say next stop, this is gonna be what? Is it going to be device specific? Yes, this is going to be device specific. Um, but I also want to kind of go and change this just from VPN to VPN 0 because in future we might have more VPNs, right? So let's do that. So I've changed the label to VPN 0. Now it's going to be very easy to understand. Let's add this, right? We'll fill the VPN, we'll fill the next stop value later, right? So we have done that. Let's say add, and you can see the next stop has been added, which is good. What else do we do? So I think that's it. I don't have anything else to do around here. The rest of the stuff we're gonna keep it as is, I believe. Do we have anything else to do? Let me just see. Probably not. Yeah, that's it. I'm happy with this. So let's go and save this, right? So we have two templates ready. And the last template which I intend to do is for the interface configuration. So we have done system, VPN, and now we are going to do this interface configuration. Most of this configuration we have already done, so you probably might not see much of a difference. Excuse me. Yeah, so we're going to do interface. So which interface do we choose? So you see here you have the VPN interface Ethernet. So this is the one which we're going to configure. The rest of them are not something which are going to be useful for us, right? So we are going to configure the interface under the VPN. Again, let's be very specific and let's mention the title for the template, which is going to be vEdge and um, let's say vEdge inet, right? Because it's internet facing interface, right? So I'm going to call that, probably put it here as well for the description. Let's see, what do we do here? Obviously I want my interface to be no shutdown. So before that, let me just change this to global and put in the value no shutdown. And in every case, my interface is always going to be gigabit 0/0. So I'm going to say that. And let's also put a description, probably a global description, always saying that this is your inet, right? So this is your internet interface. That's good. Static IP address, yes, we're going to make it device specific. Remember, all the addresses are going to be device specific. So again, I want to change this to VPN 0, otherwise in future it's going to be confusing when we have more VPNs. I'm going to make this VPN 0. So now you understand it's very specific to VPN 0, which is good. As we scroll down, what do we see next? Excuse me. So tunnel, the tunnel interface, right? We're going to turn on the tunnel. Let's change this to global and let's turn on the tunnel. Yeah, I think it's a bit stuck. Yeah, that's good. So we have turned on the tunnel, and under the tunnel, I want to change the color. So we will learn more about color. I've touched a bit of it, in the overview class or the overview video. But we are going to change this to global, and the color for this particular interface is going to be the public internet, right? So we have two transports. The one which we are right now working on is the internet side of it. So we're going to make it to public internet. You also have other options here. You can see quite a lot of options. You have your various bronze, platinum and all of that, and you also have your MPLS and all of that. So that's good. For now we are going to use the public internet. Rest of them we're going to turn it off here, keep it off. Probably the control connections is on. We're going to keep it to default. Let's scroll down. uh, uh, the next stuff is what are we doing next? So this all looks good for me. Yeah, the allow service, right? We always allow all the services, so let's allow that. I'm just trying to replicate whatever configuration I did earlier in my previous video here via the template, right? Just to show you guys how each of the things maps out, right? So this is all routing stuff which we are gonna do, not gonna do now. We are surely gonna do it later, but not now. So BGP is good. Let's keep it as is. uh, what else? Do we have anything in this part in 8.1x? Do I want to do anything? Probably not. I'm going to keep it off. Advanced. Let's go to advanced. In advanced, I would want to turn on the PMTU discovery, right? So this path MTU discovery is something which is going to be useful. So I'm going to make it global and I'm going to turn it on. That looks good. So that's it. I mean, I don't want anything else. So I'm going to go and save this. There you go. So I have 3 templates done now, right? Which is great. Now, what do we do next? So once we have the feature templates, excuse me. Yeah, so once we have the feature templates, we go and create the device template. So we are creating a device template for what? Let's create from feature templates, right? Our device template is going to be for the device VH Cloud, and we'll call this um, VH device template, right? So VH device template, and the description probably the same thing. Right now we have created 3 feature templates. Right now this is the place where we have to select those, which means I'm going to go to system and I'm going to select those. Select here. See, you have it here. Logging, I don't care. What is the next one? We did something for VPN 0, so let's do that. You can see here, I'm going to select it here, right? So that's done. Under VPN 0, we also have this uh, specific interface, right? So we're going to select that as well. So that is it. I mean, the rest of the stuff is all factory default templates. We're not going to change anything. So that looks good for me. Do I need to do anything else? That's it. I mean, that looks good. So let's go ahead and create. So looks like I have created the template with whatever we wanted. And this is the device template. Now, just having the device template is not sufficient, right? I need to obviously go and what should I do? I need to go and attach devices. So I'm going to attach devices. Like I said, I'm going to do that only for BR2. Is this the right one? Let me just double check. Yep, the BR2. I'm going to do it only for that. So you can see here, I mean, this is where the power of templates comes, right? If I want, I can actually attach this to all the devices, but I just want to show it for one of the devices for now. So I'm going to attach it only to that device. There you go. Now, what are we going to do here is there might be few fields which might be needed for me to fill in. So let's fill that. Like for example, the VPN 0 next stop IP address, right? So we know that from the diagram for VPN 0, the next stop IP address is our internet. So it's going to be, what is it going to be? 1.1. Let me just pull up my diagram as well. So it's going to be 1.1.102.1, right? I've already configured this, but I'm redoing it. The IPv4 address, so that's going to be 1.1.102.2, right? So that's this particular interface here, right over here. So I've configured this now. I've configured the other side, which is good. Next is the host name, the system host name, right, which is basically BR2. And the latitude longitude. So that's where I just picked up that value. Let me just put in. So I want to put this device in, say, New Delhi. I hope the latitude longitude values are correct, right? So that's my New Delhi. Okay, that's weird. Okay, maybe it doesn't take a lot of values. Is that it? Okay, it's still invalid. Okay, let me just fix that. Give me a second. All right. It seems like some kind of a bug that's not allowing me to put in um, a float value for the latitude and longitude. So let me just try to figure out how I can do that. When it's not allowing me to put in anything post the float, does it? 28.64 probably it's giving me invalid. So I'm gonna keep it only till here, and this is going to be 77. Probably we are not gonna zero on exact Delhi, but I think that should still work. We'll see. So we have the latitude, longitude, and probably the system IP, which is 172.16.0.102, if I'm not wrong, right? Let me just see if that is right. Yep, that's correct. So that's my system IP for that particular site, and the site ID is obviously 102. So once we do that, we're going to hit the update, click on next, and this will now show you, the configurations. It's kind of like a preview, right, for all the configurations. So if you click on here, it will show you it's loading, error, invalid value. Okay, so I think it's not taking the address for some reason. Probably we'll have to fix that. I thought that was a bug, but probably not. Let's try to fix that. All right, so this error basically tells that I've entered a wrong IP address. Let's fix that. Let's go back. So I believe the error is over here. I need to put in /24, right? So that was a mistake because you need to put in the subnet, right? Otherwise it would not work. So let's do that. I've updated. Click on next. Let's see. Yep, so you can see the configs here. If you want to see the diff, so this is exactly what configuration will be pushed. But if you want to see the diff, which means what extra and what is going to be removed, what is going to be added, this is basically where you can see. Yeah, so this is basically what's going to happen. Like for example, we can look at the VPN 0. Let's see, where is VPN 0? Yeah, there you go, VPN 0. So in the VPN 0, we are going to add the lines which are colored in green, right? So we can verify this. You're going to add the interface name, we're going to have the description, we're going to add the color and all of that. So right, so that information will be added once we push this, template, which is totally cool, right? That's exactly what we want. So now let's say configure device. So you can see the task has been created over here, right? So which is going to happen. Let me click on that to see if the task is, let me see if this task is completed. It's pushing. Let's go down here to see what's happening. Shouldn't take so much time, but yeah, let's wait for a minute. There you go. Finally, after a minute, you can see it's successful. So we have literally pushed, the configuration using templates, right, from the vManage. Let's now quickly double check. Let me clear the screen a bit. Let's see if the right. So let's quickly check show run. And if you see, let's see the three things which we did. I mean, there won't be much difference with respect to the system part of it because that's something which we had earlier configured, right? The system host name, the system IP, and the site ID, right? This is already there. What would have changed is we have put in a new name here. You can see the ECMP part has come in, and we have also put in the description over here, right? So what I showed you here is very, very simple, right? We can obviously do a lot of things with templates, and which we will surely do it in future. But this was a simple exercise to show you that yes, we can configure the devices using templates. Right now, let me also show you another interesting thing. So if I go down to my devices, and if you see my the list here, you can see this particular BR2, right? It has moved from CLI mode to vManage mode, right? You can see the rest of the devices, they are all in the CLI mode. whereas this device, it is being configured in the vmanage mode, right? And the reason is because we used vmanage to configure, so we have converted this from a CLI mode to vmanage mode, right? So that is good. What else do we want to see is probably we can similarly create templates even for the controllers, not just devices, right? Right now we just used it for one of the edge device, but we can obviously create it for the controllers as well. Now the other thing which I want to show is, I'm not sure if this would work, but let's see the geography, if the latitude longitude actually get updated. Let's look at the map. I think it's a bug. I mean, I feel it should allow a person to put in the float value of the latitude longitude. It was not allowing me to, which is weird. Okay, this is not coming up. Is it taking probably some time? Let me remove all of these. All right, guys. Looks like this is taking quite some time. I believe this for the graph to load, probably we might need internet connectivity as well. But since we are using like a private, all of this is simulated in a host-only environment. Maybe that is the reason why the graph doesn't load, the world map doesn't load. Right. Nevertheless, our configuration was successful, or we were able to successfully push the configuration onto the device, and you see all the 5 edges are up and control connections. All of this is good, right? So in this particular video, what we checked is we checked out how we can push configurations from vmanage, right? At a click of a button we can create templates. These templates can be reused across other devices. In this specific use case, we kind of push the configuration only into BR2, but now I can leverage the same template to attach other devices and push the configurations over there as well, right? Once you use the template to configure a device, the device moves away from a CLI mode to the vmanage mode, and from there on you have to use the vmanage mode for configuring the device. All right, so thanks for watching. Do come back for more videos on SD-WAN. Bye.